Okay, this video is going to be about translating sentences into equations. You've probably done something very similar to this before. It may have been with expressions, though. Okay, so just a reminder that expressions are the equivalent in English to a phrase, an incomplete sentence. Okay, that is when we do not have an equal sign. When we're doing equations, okay, it has that complete thought. Okay, it's a sentence. Okay, it will have that equal sign. Okay, but either way, when you see these words, okay, you need to know what operations they go with. And then you're always looking to see, is it asking me to put in equals in there or not? Okay, but all the ones we're doing today, equal signs. Okay, so you can read through the list. I'm not going to go through every single one. The big ones, though, are definitely sum, difference, product, and quotient, because each of those are specific to one of the operations, and you need to remember which one is which. We have some specific multiplication ones on there, specifically twice, which is when you're multiplying something by 2, and triple was when you're multiplying something by 3. Now, a couple of them also have some stars there, and those are what I like to call our turnaround words. Our turnaround words contain the words than, from, to, or into. Okay, than, from, to, or into. Repeat that to yourself like a mantra. Okay, you need to know those 4 things because while most of these will go in whatever order the sentence kind of goes in, okay, those turnaround words are going to tell us when we need to flip some things around. So those 4 words are pretty important here. Also, when we see the words a number, that does not mean you get to choose your favorite number. That is when you're going to use a variable. Now with variables, okay, we need to make sure we are using lowercase letters. When you guys were solving equations, I did see some capital ones, but variables really should be lowercase letters. When it's a number, you can choose whatever variable you want. However, my recommendation, okay, do not use O. That looks like a 0. Okay, and do not use L because that looks like a 1. If you absolutely need to use L because maybe you want to do like L for length of a rectangle, okay, what is usually the best thing is to do a script L like that. Okay, but in general, try to avoid O or L. Okay, so let's jump into some examples here. We have the sum of 8 and a number is 15. Okay, sum is addition. I do not see any turnaround words, so we kind of just go in the flow of the sentence. So the sum of 8 and a number, that means we're going to say 8 plus x, okay, or whatever variable you want. I'm probably just going to stick with x, okay, but sum of 8 and a number, and then is our equal sign, and then 15. Now, could you also say technically x plus 8 equals 15? Yeah, because addition is commutative. Okay. Could we also say 15 equals 8 plus x? We could. It doesn't really matter where we're putting that equals 15. However, we do want to try and kind of represent this situation as best as we can. And if I'm reading this as the sum of 8 and number is 15, okay, the one I have on the line is the best one. Okay, next one, 45 equals 16 less than a number. So I'm going to start with our 45 equals, but I see the word than. So less than is subtraction, but we need to turn it around. Okay, and subtraction and division, the order is very important. So for example, if I said 7 minus 4, you can't just reverse that around and say it's the same thing as 4 minus 7. Okay, so you have to be very careful with our subtraction and division. So 16 less than a number, instead of doing 16 minus x, I need to flip it around, and it's going to be x minus 16. Negative 32 is 5 added to a number. So I'm going to start with negative 32. Our is our equal sign. Okay, 5 added to a number. We're going to flip it around. So instead of 5 plus x, it's going to be x plus 5. And then finally, D, the quotient of a number and 3 is negative 15. Quotient is division. Okay, we are not going to use the little division symbol anymore though. We are going to write it as that fraction with the fraction bar. So for this one, no turnaround words here. So number and 3 would be x over 3 equals negative 15. Okay, at the bottom, we have some harder ones, okay, where we might need some grouping symbols, meaning some parentheses here. Because think of order of operations, okay, order of operations, PEMDAS, okay, we would do, when we get to those operations at the end, multiplication and division come before addition and subtraction. And if you want the addition and subtraction to come first, you would have to throw them in parentheses because that's at the beginning of PEMDAS and you'd have to do the parentheses first. So if you're trying to do these questions and it's clearly wanting you to say, hey, let's add or subtract some things first, we need to put that in parentheses before we throw in the multiplying and or dividing in there. Okay, so 2 times the sum of 9 and a number is 43. Okay, I'm going to break this down a little bit and highlight. So we got 2 times. We also have the sum of 9 and a number. And then at the end, we have our is 43. So the is 43 is easy. Oops, still on highlighter mode. Okay, our is 43 is going to be equals 43. Okay, but we are doing 2 times, and we want to do the sum of that 9 and number first. So that is when we're going to have to throw that 9 plus x in parentheses to show we're doing that sum. And now we can put a times 2 out front, okay, to show 2 times that sum that we already put in parentheses. The next one, we got the quotient of 7. Okay, that and here kind of splits it up. So the quotient of 7 and the quantity of 6 plus a number equals 9. So we know there's going to be some division here because it's quotient. I'm going to put my division bar. Oh, it keeps doing that. Put my division bar. What are we dividing? We're dividing 7. And then with the quantity of 6 plus a number. So that 6 plus x actually goes on the bottom there. Okay, and when we write it like this, we actually don't need to put that 6 plus x in parentheses, even though that does have the addition going on there. Okay, because when you write it together in the denominator, it's like an implied grouping there. Okay, so we don't need to put that 6 plus x in parentheses because it's grouped together in denominator. And then equals 9. Okay, next one, the product of 3. Okay, and what are we multiplying it by? The sum of a number and 7 is the same as, we got a lot going on here. Then we got some pink, so 9 times the difference of a number and 1. So lots going on here. So product 3. Yeah. Product is 3 times, but we're doing sum of a number of 7. So x plus 7 goes in parentheses. Is the same as equals 9 times the difference. So we have some subtraction. I'm going to throw that also in parentheses. Difference of that number and 1. And the last one, 6 is 11 more than half of a number. So 6 equals, I see key turnaround word, 11 more than. That plus 11 is going to go at the end of things. And half of a number of means multiply. So we'll say 1/2 x. And I do want to point out this one could be written slightly different, where we say 6 is equal to, multiplying something by a half is the same thing as dividing it by 2. So you could also write it like this, and that would be something that is definitely an acceptable answer as well. Okay, so things you have to do is memorize what words go with what operations, memorize those turnaround words. In general, go in the order it says, unless you see that turnaround word, And then don't forget those parentheses if you need to do that adding or subtracting before any multiplying or dividing.